Welcome back, and today we're going to be reviewing a brand new Jack Wolf fixed blade. This is a very exciting one in my opinion. I bet you this is going to be one of the most popular fixed blade drops to date. So there's your artwork, beautiful as usual. This is part of his collab series, and it's a collab between him and Jakeb Creates. I absolutely love his stuff. I actually own 3 of his knives. I would own more if I could. If you want to pause and read or check that out, you can. And it comes in a hard box with a magnetic closure. I'll show you. And here's the Jack Wolf knives, Jakeb Creates Collusion. This is the biggest fixed blade in the Jack Wolf lineup, and I gotta say, I absolutely love the size. I know a lot of people wanted them to be a little bit bigger. Well, here you go. Of course, you got several different variations, and boy, do they all look good. Of course, I love this one because blue's my favorite color, but that's blue linen micarta with a belt satin blade. You can also get it with titanium scales with a stripe pattern milled into it with a hand rub satin blade. They have a DLC coated version with purple Cure Night scales, and they have one with red abalone scales. It's got like a red G10 line underneath, the clear acrylic on top. That's how you get the red out of it. And that one has a belt satin blade. And then there's an absolutely stunning dealer exclusive. I think it was Blade HQ. I'll put it on the screen if I'm wrong. But that one had some scales I had never seen before. They're copper marbled carbon fiber scales with an acid stone wash blade. And that is a beautiful package. Like I said, this is part of the Jack Wolf collab series. And like I said, this is the biggest fixed blade to date from Jack Wolf Knives. Coming in at 6.62 inches overall. It has a 3.14 inch sheep's foot blade, or you call it reverse Tonto or modified warranty, whatever you want to call it. And of course, it's in CPM S90V steel. This version has a vertical belt satin on your primary grind and your top swedge, which is for some added flair up there. And talk about a gorgeous looking grind there. You have a horizontal satin on the flats. There's Jakeb Creates logo right there, and you have the Jack Wolf knives right there. You have a good sharpening choil. As you can see, there's some separation from the plunge grind right here. So you should have several sharpenings before you'll have to do anything with that. But when it comes to my fixed blades, I don't care because I can easily lay my round diamond file in there and open it up a little bit at a time. That way I don't have to have any bigger of a gap right here than I need to have. No jimping up top, but a nice flat spot to rest your thumb. Great utilitarian blade shape. It's going to be great for doing in-hand cuts like breaking down cardboard boxes. But this one's really going to shine at doing those fine precision cuts. Because check out that needle-like tip there. Great for piercing and doing those cuts I was just talking about. Your blade stock thickness on this one's coming in at 0.12 inches. And of course, it's got a nice deep hollow grind that comes down nice and thin to around 15 thousandths behind the edge. My particular knife is sharpened to 24 degrees per side exactly on both sides, which is not something you see too common. Usually we'll have some variance on both sides, but this one is exact, which is awesome. Makes my job easier whenever I go to sharpen it. So I don't know about y'all. I'm super excited to do some testing. Let's see how it performs. The knife came with a good edge out of box, and this is one thing that it's really going to shine at because of the straight edge on that sheep's foot blade. Not to mention that hollow grind is so nice and thin. It should perform really, really good. Now, if it's triple wall cardboard or very dense stuff, you may get a little bit of resistance at the full thickness above the hollow grind. But for the most part, you won't be able to tell. You're only getting that edge that's actually doing the cutting. But yeah, great job. I knew it would do good on this one. You get nice, fine, straight cuts if you want. Detailed cuts, easy. Yeah. Now, we're just basically testing that fine edge. Being that it's got a deep hollow grind, I try not to put too much pressure onto these. I just want to get a good feel for the handle. See if there's anything poking me or anything. And I will say, I increased pressure a little bit as I went. Not as much as I put on, the thicker ground knives, but I did notice that, if I was trying to push a little bit harder, it was definitely wanting to spin around in the hand just because it's really thin in the scales. Not really an issue in my opinion, because this is more of a general task knife. You know, much better for fine detail stuff. And if you had to do this in a pinch, you could. Gets to having sisal rope. I was so happy to see this one had some bite to it. And I lifted up on the block just because if I don't, you're not able to get enough of that cutting edge onto the flat surface before you contact your knuckles or the scales itself. And that's fine also. You know, this is more of a utilitarian blade shape. And, you know, if we're honest with ourselves, this is what most, you know, this is the most of the stuff we cut with our knives is cardboard, you know, plastic, zip ties, maybe do whittling. You know, I don't know what you do with your knives, but I just don't have, I find things to cut with my knives just because I enjoy doing it. But I mean, my personal life, I just don't. I'm not a commando. I'm not a bushcrafter. So I just don't have that many things that I could use my knives for. That's why I do these tests, along with so I can figure the knife out. That's just my review process. Without it, I could not tell you anything about the knife besides what it looks like. Yeah, pinch grip, very comfortable. One thing I will say is I sharpen up pretty much every Jack Wolf after I get done with the testing, and they always perform. They're going to perform leaps and bounds better up until about the third sharpening. You'll get about max performance. This piece of leather was too small and it was a little bit soft, so it was wanting to crinkle, so it made it a little bit difficult. And I'm showing you right there how hard it is to cut something just like that without lifting it up, because I just don't have enough force I can push down on it. But nothing gave any troubles. I no longer have that dense corner cardboard, so I added another piece of tubing. I'm gonna try to figure out something else, or maybe see if I can buy some sticks of that stuff. I'm talking about the dense corner cardboard. Anybody knows where I can buy some? Let me know. Well, exactly as I expected. It performed great. This one was a lot of fun to test. I can get an easy 4-finger grip on it. It's nice and comfortable. That micarta is nice and grippy. I love the feeling of linen micarta. It's nice and soft feeling to the hand. You have a slight contour on those scales. No sharp areas where you don't want to be. They knocked off any of the hard edges. Fantastic job. Now, I talked about it when I was doing the wood carving. If you're going to be exerting a lot of force into something, which I don't really recommend anyway, with something with this thin of a hollow grind, you know, you could do whatever you want with your knife, but I'm not going to do it. I've learned my lesson the hard way in the past. So my medium-sized hands, like I said, I get a 4-finger grip. I have a little bit left over, and if you have big mitts, you got a lanyard to grab a hold to, which comes with the knife. It's got a snake knot pattern there and a cool little geared looking titanium bead that is anodized bronze, same color as your titanium hardware. But back to what I was saying, you know, if you're going to be exerting a lot of force, it's going to start to fatigue your wrist and forearms pretty darn quick, just because of the thinness of the scales. Not really that big of a deal, because I think this is more of a general task knife. Make some cuts, break down a box or so, cut some rope off of something, make quick cuts, and then go about your business. Once again, you do what you want with your knife. I'm just saying, I think that's how this one is set up. And there was no discomfort. You know, this pull grip, which is something I like to do a lot with those straight edges, to pull through something, is nice and comfortable. You could do the reverse gas station knife fight grip if you want. You got enough room, or at least I do. I guess if you want to stick it into a log to make a feather stick, you could do that rather easily. But for me, this pinch grip is where it's at. I can get almost to that end of that blade. I could if I want to, and I can really make nice, fine, controlled cuts. Not to mention, whenever you're all the way up near this guard area right here where the ricasso comes down, you can control that edge really well too, because you're not far from that edge, because they didn't put a huge sharpening choil there. So that's another thing that I like. Being that you have that straight edge, you're going to be able to get full power from the heel of the knife to the tip of the knife, especially in those in-hand cuts, because the more you twist that wrist, the deeper it's going to get. Your titanium hardware is a Torx T8. Love seeing that. Everything is mated up perfectly, flush with the tang. No high spots anywhere, no gaps anywhere. Very, very high craftsmanship here. You can definitely tell there's a lot of hand finishing work that goes into these. When it comes to carry, this sheath is fantastic. So just in my right pocket of my lightweight shorts, there you go. You can see you got enough of it sticking out. I can grab the lanyard, I can retrieve the knife, use it, and then I'm gonna be careful whenever I put it back in. I put the spine up against the back portion of the sheath. I kind of squeeze the sheath once I get past the scales right here. Just make sure that the spine is traveling up on the top portion. That way you don't accidentally stick it through the sheath or anything. You don't have to be too worried. It's not gonna go through super easy, but there you go. And then I love these shorts because they have this little pocket right here. They're fishing shorts. And whenever I don't have anything in this pocket, I carry my EDC fixed blades a lot in that pocket because whenever I sit down, it just sits on the side of my leg. This one's so slim, it doesn't matter if it's in my front or right. Doesn't print much, doesn't cause any discomfort, carries great. You could also put it in your back pocket if you want to. However you want to carry it, hook it to a belt, that's on you. For me, it's here and here for the most part. One thing I'd love to see when I'm buying an EDC fixed blade is when it's already set up to a type of carry that I enjoy. Like this one, I enjoy pocket carrying, and this one is perfect for that. Nice and thin. The clip holds the pocket well, like you just saw. Yeah, it's a total package. I don't have to go out and buy anything. I don't have to buy any clips. This knife is super lightweight. Even in the sheath, it only weighs 3.55 ounces. The knife itself only weighs 1.75 ounces. Let's check it out. Balance point is back just a little bit, but it's so light, I don't feel like it's handle heavy or blade heavy. Now for some quick size comparisons. As you can see, it's a decent bit bigger than the Jack Wolf Vampire Fix EDC, as well as the Midnight Fix EDC. And it's just a hair longer than the Jakeb Creates Bushmary. And of course, it's going to dwarf the Jakeb Creates Chickadee. And it's a little smaller than the Jakeb Creates Bush Bandit, and it's almost identical in length to the 9-point knives Lynx. And it's just a hair, a hair shorter than the Essie Azula 2 and a little bigger than the Essie Azula. And it's just a hair shorter than both the Artisan Cutlery Sea Snake and the Bradford Guardian 3. And lastly, it's a good bit smaller than the Ontario Rat 1, and it's a little smaller than the Rat 2. Now, being that absolutely no knife's perfect, what are my nitpicks and complaints? These are all nitpicks because I absolutely love this knife. We'll get started front to back. This one came with a 24 degrees per side edge bevel. It would have been awesome to have it at least at like 20 degrees. That way, whenever I go to reprofile it to 17 degrees, I don't have to drop it so far. But it's a pretty minor thing because I can sharpen myself and I can either leave it like it is or reprofile it. And possibly a little bit thicker scales, just so if you're doing something a little bit more demanding, maybe triple wall cardboard, you don't fatigue your wrist and forearms as quick. On the other side of that, the way it sits, it keeps it much more thinner in the pocket, so it's a lot easier to carry. You hardly notice it's there. The Jack Wolf Jacob Creates Collusion comes in at $235. Do I think it's worth that? Look, I know some people are going to think that's outrageously overpriced or whatever. Personally, I think it's a good price. This feels like a custom fixed blade. It's an absolutely beautiful knife. Not to mention, if you're like me and you love Jakeb Creates, his stuff sells out so fast. This is an easy way for you to at least scratch that itch if you've always wanted one of his designs. I don't know about y'all, but I sure hope this isn't the last we see between Jack Wolf and Jakeb Creates. Do this. It's my favorite model from Jakeb Creates. Yeah. So if you're looking for a very classy, utilitarian EDC fixed blade that's super lightweight, comes with the complete package. The S90V holds up excellently. And plus, like I said, if you are a fan of Jakeb Creates, you're able to get one of his designs a lot easier than trying to snag a custom. If you're interested in this, I will have it linked down below. However, if you're watching this on August 12th, when I release this, they're not available yet. These drop on August 15th at dealers. I'll do a community tab post reminder when these go live, just so if you have a certain one that you want to get, you can jump on it. Because like I said, I have a feeling this is going to be the most popular fixed blade that Jack Wolf has released. They're all awesome. Beautiful, beautiful work here. Great collab, if I don't say so myself. What do y'all think about it? Would y'all like to see more collabs between Jack Wolf and Jakeb Creates? Bushmary. Let me know what y'all think about this. Do you like the size? He doesn't call this an EDC fixed blade because he says it's got to be 6 inches and under. I'm sorry, Ben. I love Ben, but this is perfect. This right here is my ideal EDC fixed blade, especially how lightweight this thing is. Absolute beauty. So there you go. That's going to wrap up today's video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, leave those down below and I'll do my best to get back with you. I hope every single one of y'all is having a fantastic day today. And remember, keep these blades sharp. Smile more. Bang!